Shut up and sit down.
Hello gang, and welcome to episode 1 of the Revell 124th Huey build. Now you'll notice that some of the footage here is from the live show that we done, me and Dave and Reese. So there's going to be a little bit of speddy up footage in this episode of what we done on the live show, or what I done on the live show, and then some other little bits and bobs that I've been doing between live shows on the Huey, because a lot of people have asked whether or not I planned on doing a build series on this or filmed any of it. So I thought I would go in, pull the footage off of YouTube and just cobble together an episode of footage, or a couple of episodes of footage for you guys, just so that you can follow along. So it is the beautiful Revell 124 scale Bell UH-1 Huey. I think it's 04905 was the kit number. And like I say, I've had this one in my stash for a number of years now, and the standing joke with me and the guys I do hangouts with was I'd always threatened them that I'd buy them one for their birthday or for Christmas, because if I've got to build one, they've got to. And I kind of got distracted on the YouTube with other things like the E-Models thing and other build series, and I kind of took my eye off the ball with the Huey and me one-man Revell crusade. So I mentioned it to Davey, Model Maker Dave's workshop, in a hangout one night about redoing or revisiting this idea of my one-man bad kit builds, and we've come up with the buddy builders, and it's going to be predominantly us two. Reese is joining us on this one because he's got a 124th Huey, but you know, there are going to be options, you know, where you guys can add your bad build ideas to the pool, and we're building up a stash, so we're going to be doing more of these. I think it's definitely got to be done. But also with the buddy builds is we will be throwing in some good kits as well, so they're not all going to be bad ones. The next one's going to be a good kit. That's the ATST that we're going to buddy build together. But then after that, I think we're doing the Unimog, which again is supposed to be a bit of a mare. So yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling. So what I'm doing, or was doing on this live show, is I was just building sections or sub-assemblies. So it's going to be probably the interior with the seats, the dash, the engine and bits and bobs, and I'll do that as an assembly because I want to 3D print my own pilot figures, because the ones that come with it, although they're all right and usable, I don't know, they just seemed a little bit big. I don't know, the guys, you know, I don't know whether or not it was a scale thing, I don't know, but they kind of looked like they'd be about 8'4" if you met them in the street. So I reduced the scale down a little bit in the figures just to try to make them look a little less imposing, and I've put some soldiers and that in the back with guns and things like that, and so there's going to be detail added to this, seat belts, and the dashboard that comes with it is literally just the dash panel and a decal, a flat decal. And it's, having done a bit of research, I thought I would have a look at recreating the three-dimensional side of the dash. So I whacked in some shapes and that in my CAD program, printed it out, and applied the decal, and it's just given it a bit of depth. So already the 3D printer is coming in handy for builds. I was missing a couple of parts on this kit, and rather than have to order them, I just whacked them in a CAD program and did my own interpretation of the parts. So look out for them as we're building. Anything that is white is 3D printed. So there you've got the white pilot there by the tweezers. That's a 3D print. But I'm looking at probably putting 3 figures in the back, and obviously the pilot and the co-pilot in the front. So I will need to scratch an additional bench seat, so that will go opposite the one that you can see by my right hand now. So I'll be doing that, probably some styrene tube to make the acro props and the tubular sections of the seat. Then the canvas will go on. So I've got a cunning idea for that, because I have had a look at some of the parts in the kit. You've got like the roof beams and side beams, and it's like a lattice framework. Well, having done my research, I noticed that it's got a liner on it, so I'm going to line mine. I don't know whether Dave is going to do his. I'll ask him, but probably when he sees mine, he'll want to do his in a similar vein, because I think it'll look effective. So I'm going to go ahead and do it probably in my next episode and show you how I do that, and then I'll see then, and I'll show Dave in a hangout one night, and I think if he sees it and likes it, he'll probably want to do the same, and it just, to me, will finish the kit off a little bit. But other than that, modifications wise, probably I'll put in some stowage. I did say, and I kind of made a rod for my own back here, but when we did the live show, I kind of had one of those epiphany moments where I looked at it and thought, you know something, I wish them front cockpit doors opened, and perhaps the rear access panels. So I blurted out in the live show, yeah, I might open my doors, and Sergeant Bones jumped straight on me and went, yeah, go on, Cole, do it. So I've had to bite the bullet, and I've decided I'm going to open all the doors and the access panels. So possibly the next episode I'll do some time-lapse stuff of lining the roof liner, and probably do some time lapse either in this episode if I get the chance, or definitely the next episode, of cutting the doors out and then making hinges and things like that, so that if any of you haven't done that, you can have a go at making your own hinges. So we're going to be moving on in a little while to the non-live show stuff, but I want to get to the point on this where I had the engine, the gearbox, the seating area, things like that as little sub-assemblies on the live, because I could host the live show as well as just do some building of them components, and then between shows is where I'm filming stuff like this episode, where I can go in and go, right, just film me building bits, and then I can edit it all together and say, well, this episode I'm doing this episode I'm doing that. So we got the back wall in, we got some of the seats in, we got the gearbox on the bench there. And we're just putting in the front seats, as you can see, that the pilot, or the new 3D printed pilot and co-pilot are going to sit on. And I've got a rough generic figure that I've done on the CAD program, but once the kit is coming together and I see where things like the joystick and that end up, I might have to perform a little bit of surgery on the pilot and co-pilot's arms, just to get their arms to marry up to the levers, because yeah, you can do it in the CAD, but obviously because you've not actually built the model, you can't quite get it precisely where you want it. So I've given myself a little bit of an opportunity with the arms where I can go in with the snips and at the elbows chop the arms off and just move them left, right, up, down or whatever, and then I'll reattach them once I'm happy. So you might see their arms getting amputated at some point, but there is method to my madness. But if you haven't got this kit and you want to build along with us, you might have to have a look on some of the auction sites, but they are becoming quite rare now. I don't know why, but you know, we've gone from having a glut of them appearing on auction sites to none, and I don't think it's because the world is following my Huey build. It'd be nice if they were, but yeah, there don't seem to be as many as there once were doing the rounds, so they're also beginning to go quite expensive. So you might just want to bear that in mind when it comes to ordering yours, that you know they are going for a lot of money now. But by all means, you know, if you can get one and you want to build along, feel free. I know Frankie Day at Frankie Day's Models, he's got one in his stash and he's asked whether he can come and join us on the chat and maybe even live on the next show, so look out for that. And again, as we continue these series, we're going to put up a list of all the kits we've got lined up for these buddy builds, and then that way if you guys fancy one of them and want to come and join us, you've got a webcam and a mic and you want to come and have a laugh with us, then you can bat us an email, and you know, we'll do an off-air hangout with you to introduce ourselves and so that you can feel more relaxed. And if you want to do a live, do a live. If you want to do it off-air, do it off-air. It's whatever floats your boat. So keep an eye out for them. I'll be putting it up in the Facebook group and probably put a list in one of these videos in the comment section or the description. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do so, and click the bell icon as well for the notifications of lives, because I do quite a bit of random live stuff as well. So I might be sat here one night like I am now at sort of 3-4 in the morning, and I might just go, do you know something, I'm going to go live and randomly do live. So keep an eye out for them, so that you're notified, because if you're in the UK or if you're in the US and my time overlaps where you guys it's evening time, then you know, come and keep me company, or I can come and keep you company at the bench, and you can just have me on in the background rambling, and yeah, you know, you get to air what work you're doing and I'll publicise it. There is a folder now on the Festa 67's Facebook group and page where you can add your buddy build photographs. So again, if you're doing any of these with us, bung your work in there, put your name in there, what it is you're doing, who you are. If you've got a channel, put a link in, and excuse me, we can all share the love and like and subscribe to you and like and subscribe to us, and we all grow our channels. So let's spread the love a little bit. You know, if you are viewers out there and you haven't subscribed to me, please do so, because it helps me get to the point where I can have more features on the channel that can enable me to put varied content up. There's also a patron option, Festa67's workshop on Patreon. You can do a $1, $5 or $10 tier. That's entirely up to you guys, but that'll help me get things like glues and paints and bits and bobs and buy kits, because I'm retired now because of me MS. It's difficult to keep the hobby going. So yeah, cue the violins, but it just gives me that option of, you know, me patron supporters that help me out are enabling me to do this type of content at the end of the day. And if it entertains you and people like what I do, I'll carry on doing it. So you can see me clamping in the roof cage there. I'm literally just clamping it so that I can get the sides lined up, and then I shall be knocking it back off the build so that I can put the lining up. But this just lets me start truing up some bits and pieces, and I can look around it and go, well, if I'm going to make a fake seat or whatever, I can put a post in here, a post in there, and it just gives me an idea of where I need to do my scratch building, and I can get some measurements going and build all of that. So I will pop that roof back off at some point, and it's only on with a little bit of extra thin in each corner just to get it to grip, and like I say, it will just pop straight off then and give me an idea of what I need and where I need it. So there's some really quite aggressive seams in the engine when it's joined together, so I will whop a bit of the old Festa sprue glue in there, one of my own little glue holders there. Keep an eye out for them, because I do them as giveaways. There were a couple given away on the live show, and again, you know, when we do the lives, you know, comment of the night or whatever, or, you know, they win a glue holder, you know. And there's little giveaways that I do on my channel, on my Patreon, and as well as my Facebooks, where, you know, keep an eye out for something, and I might on a live say, right, I'm going to be giving away this or this. And, you know, if you put a comment in, or the first person to send me an email when I'm live, or a message with a correct answer, wins something. So I like to try and give something back. But I'm using really runny sprue glue here just to run along that nasty seam that is on the turbine and the engine there, and I'll let that cure, and then I'll go over it with various grades of sanding stick, and do the same on the gearbox, because the casting on this is a little bit ropey. I mean, my one is a 1975 moulding, so quite an old moulding, but also it's been stashed in various houses that I've lived in over the years, and yeah, it's warped in places, and it survived the flood, and yeah, so it's been beaten up a bit, this poor old Huey. But we finally got round to getting it built, and I'm quite glad in a way, because it's although it's a bit ropey and lacking in detail, you can add some nice detail to it if you want. So like I say, I can now knock that roof off and get shot of that. Yeah, in my mind, I know now where I want to have this seat. So I've got probably two figures will sit at the back. They'll have their rifles. There'll probably be a rifle behind them on a mount, and then a single figure probably sat behind the pilot and the co-pilot, just to give that illusion of, yeah, we can carry more than two people in the back of this Huey. So I'll do that. So that's that off. As you can see, I've got that now as a single piece. I can line that, probably drop the sides off, line them separately, and then reassemble it all. But yeah, we can now sort of have a quick perusal of the instructions, see where we're going to go with it. Probably have a look at what I've got in the Greebles box as well, for some additional stowage items for when I open the doors at the back. I want to probably have some mail bags for the forces mail, perhaps a couple of boxes of stuff, maybe a radio, a field radio where you're going to be dropping it off at the latest base camp, and it's like, oh yeah, we need a new wireless, and yeah, we'll fly that in the Huey. So at the moment I've just got a little jar of alcohol on the bench there, hence why I'm looking a bit floaty, and I'm just getting rid of any leftover remnants of paint, because my Huey I did start a while back, about 6 years ago, and started putting bits together and just basically thought, oh, it's a pile of rubbish, and pull it away, and it's been in the Dettol. So every now and then you'll see me grab a bit of alcohol with a toothbrush and just have a quick clean of some of the areas. It's just to get any remnants off. But I'm going to put the rotors on, and the centre rotor hub, and get that built as an assembly, because that'll go in the spray booth then, and get a couple of coats of primer, and we'll get that done. And the aim here is to try to get as many of these sub assemblies done so I can have a bit of a blitz with a spray booth and primer, and yeah, get some work done, and then go round and detail it all up as per me photographs and that. So try and give it a bit more detail than the kit came with. I'm not going to go too mad with it and hyper detail it. There's people out there to do that a lot better than me, but I tend to look at where I'm going to be displaying a kit, and this one's going to live above my head on top of the cabinets, where the bench is at the moment, where my hands are. I've got wall cabinets above the bench, and it's going to sit up there, so I can get away with basic detail and a bit extra, but I don't need to go too mad, because it's not at what I would class normal eye level. If the kit was being stored lower down on a display cabinet at sort of eye level, where people are going to constantly be zoning in, then you're going to want to hyper detail it. So yeah, I know where it's going to go, and this is what I tend to do with my kits. I'll mock up a bit of it. It could be the fuselage or whatever, and I'll throw a couple of rubber bands and I'll stand it on the shelf where it's going to end up being displayed, and I'll leave it there for a week, and I'll have a look over at it, and I'm like, do you know something, from here I can see that'll need a bit of detail there. So that becomes an area that I'll add some detail to, whereas something you can't really see, I'm like, do you know something, there's no point, because it's not going to come down off that shelf, or if it's hanging from the ceiling, you're not going to sort of want to go too mad with lighting kits on something that's hanging on fishing line from the ceiling, because you're not going to switch it on very often. So have a think on that, people, where you're displaying your kits. There are kits that I've got lighting kits for. I've got a lighting kit I'm going to make for this one, and where it sits, it's pretty close to where there's an outlet, but also I can put a battery pack on it up there, and no one's going to see the battery pack, and I can actually, with a remote control from my desk, I can switch it on. So a lot of my kits have got an IR receiver that are going in them, and with a bit of deft Arduino, you can basically have a model kit lighting system switch on and switch off from a programmable remote control. So I'm going to have one that does the Huey, one that does the Voyager, so the different buttons on the remote will do a different kit, and then I just print off a faceplate of decal with, Starship Voyager startup sequence, and bang, push the button, and yeah. So this little remote will do quite a few kits. So that's why I get into the Arduino stuff, because yeah, some folks say it's an easy way because the code's done for you. It's not that easy. Those that criticise it are normally those that don't understand it. But that aside, you can add a bit of code, modify a bit of code, tell it what you want to do, delay, switch this on, switch that off, button commands, all of that. And you can make your kits a feature. I mean, where I can't reach up to get to a lot of this stuff, to have it on a remote is perfect for me, or a Raspberry Pi that I can go in and using software similar to Touch Portal, I can have a list of buttons and I can control model kits and lighting for me display cabinets from the comfort of my chair. So yeah, so that's what that can enable you to do. So we got all of that going in this. Couple of bits and bobs that are getting made up there, which are the rockets and that for the side pods. So they'll be detailed up. But again, quick whiz through the spray booth with some primer, get them going. And yeah, this is the stage of the live show where it was good. It was a good show. It went on for 6 hours, so yeah, we didn't do too bad really. It was nice to get people tuning in and popping in and saying hi. People coming over from Fox's show saying hi, which was nice as well. So thank you to all of those. This is where we start figuring out the doors, and I've got a really knackered, bent up old photo etch saw. But what that hook saw enables me to do is I can scribe a line with it, but where it's got teeth on the end, it actually then starts to cut into the plastic a little round the edges of a door. And as you can see there, I'm dragging it along and then wiping off any remnants on me knuckle. But you bit by bit can start working your way along, see, and then it just pops straight into the gap there, and then you just chisel it along the seam there and you start cutting the door out. And with one of the Doris's old makeup brushes there, you just clean the plastic off as you're cutting through it. And yeah, it is a pretty easy way of opening a door. I've also got a Tamiya Scriber Mark II, and that also does a similar thing, but for something like that I tend to get out my gnarly photo etch saw. I will get a new one, but if anyone out there knows where you can buy these blades, because you see them advertised on the auction sites and you get a handle and 3 blades, but nowhere seems to sell just the blades on their own. You've got to keep buying handles, and I end up with handles everywhere. I mean, fork handles, innit? I've got loads of the handles with different scalpel blades in them now, because that's what I tend to use them for. And I would love to get just packs of blades, 20 saw blades of different shapes. So if anyone knows, let me know. Bung us a message, because yeah, or if you work for somewhere that flogs them, or know your local model shop sells them blades, let me know, and I'll buy some, and if you can give me accurate information and I manage to find a source, then give us your details and I'll send you up a what's his name, extra fin holder. So a little incentive there for you. So we're just going to work our way along the back edge of this door seam now, just to start sectioning that out. But it just lets you guys see that this can sometimes be daunting for people when they see me get me saw out. I had it with Concord, and when I did that, Davey was watching it, who done the live show with me, and he said, the fact that you just said, righty, I'm going to cut the front off this plate, he said, and you just sat there and said, don't think about it, because if you think about it you won't do it. He said, you just got the saw out and cut the front of the fuselage off. And it's one of them. If you're going to do it, do it. If you think about it too much, then you're not going to feel comfortable doing it. But hopefully this lets you guys see that, yeah, you can cut a door off a model kit. I had it with my London bus, the Revell London bus I did a couple of years ago now. And everyone I remember from when I was a child, the drivers used to drive along in the Route Master, and they used to always have the door slid forward so that they could get a bit of cool air. So I went out and bought the Revell 124th, I think it is, London bus, and was looking forward to building it. And gets the driver's cab out and the door's moulded shut, and I'm like, well, I ain't gonna cut it, I want to open that. And so began the modifications on the London bus. It went from a basic bus that would have had no people or whatever to a bus with passengers reading newspapers and Christ knows what, fully lit inside and out, turn signals that work, brake lights that work, headlights that work. All the signs around the bus were custom decals, but even the destination signs were in little backlit boxes so that they lit up, and then you could push a button underneath and the engine started. You could hear the passengers talking. It went ding ding as the conductor rang the bell, and he had a ticket machine as well. So what started off as opening a cab door turned into doing a massive lot of work on it. But it gives you an idea once you've done it a few times. And what started me off doing this sort of thing was plastic model cars, where you would have the interior as a tub and then the exterior shell with the doors shut. And I used to think, wouldn't it be good if the doors opened? And I can't remember the first one I'd done, but I was only in my teens, so it's that long ago that I started opening doors up. And I think I'd done that back then with a double-edged Wilkinson saw razor blade, just scratching along the edge of the door until it went through the plastic. So that's how I started. But like I say, once you cut these doors out, you then need to go in and make yourself a little internal strip or closing lip on the inside, so that when they shut the door it doesn't go right through and swing into the inside of the vehicle. So when I cut these out, I then get, like I say, very thin strips of styrene and make a door shut basically. And then the hinges I make from a piece of copper wire, twin and earth electrical cable, and you can use the centre earth strand, bend it into the shape of a hinge, and Bob's your uncle. Put the ends of the wire into two plastic cotton bud tubes and you've made yourself a door hinge. So I will show you that in more detail on how to make one, but there are plenty of YouTube videos out there, I think, of people making them, but I will show you anyway. So why not? At the end of the day, I'm going to be making them, so I might as well film it. So we can quickly knock this now into the corner, and you then have that, can be a satisfying moment seeing the door drop on the floor, or it can be a daunting moment because you think, okay, it's fell out now. Yeah. Again, if this is your first time and you do have a go at doing one of these opening doors and it doesn't quite go according to plan, don't forget you can glue it back in. So yeah, it's your get out of jail free card at the end of the day. You know, a bit of extra fin and some sprue glue and you can glue the door back on, so you can make up for any happy accidents you may have. So we're just working our way along the leading edge of the door now, just to chop through where the moulded hinges are. Bear in mind though, obviously, as you do these and remove these doors, you do start to weaken the structure a little bit of the helicopter or car you're doing, so you might then need to sort of get the tape out and tape the door back in place, or put some braces inside whilst you're fettling, so that your kit doesn't actually snap in half or whatever. Because on this helicopter I've got the upper engine door and the lower access panel to remove, so it's going to leave only a very tiny strip underneath the belly of the helicopter in place. So when I mock this up to make the hinges, I will be putting the interior in and joining it together with a bit of PVA and some rubber bands, just to give it a bit of stability or solidity whilst I make the hinges up, because otherwise I'll end up breaking the towel off of the model kit, and we don't really want to be doing that, do we? So I'm just going to scribe along the edges of this little door with me photo etch saw, and as you can see, you get your plastic powder, just dust it off with your paintbrush or your makeup brush, and you know, if you see the powder, it's because you're cutting at the end of the day, so don't be too alarmed. But you can knock one of these doors out in 5-10 minutes. It's done, it's out. It takes a lot longer then to go back in and make your door shuts and do a seamless transition, because your aim when you've finished the kit is that the viewer, the person seeing it, actually thinks the kit came that way. And that's what I get a lot with the bus. You know, people go, well, I bought one of them buses and it ain't the same as yours, because yours has got all the people in it and all the lights and everything. And I say, yeah, well, that's because I had to cut all of that lot out and make it. Same with the radiator grills and all of that. I said, but so yeah, I mean, I've built 3 of them buses now. So, a good friend of mine bought one because he saw mine and he started building it, and he's like, I really want to do it the same as what you've got, or as near to it, but with my own posters and that. Would you finish it for me? He said, because I don't think I can do the lighting, he said, and I'm a bit uncomfortable cutting grills out and doors out and that. He said, if I get you the materials, are you happy to finish it? And that, became a commission for him. So he was happy, I'm happy. He's got his favourite bands on his, and I've got mine on mine. So we'll just go back round and trim this little bit out now. That'll be the door that exposes then the gearbox, the central gearbox that the propeller or the rotor hub goes into, but it'll also let you see the turbine and the engine assembly and all of that lot. So I'll be making hinges for them, but again, it just lets me put some detail in it. And if you look there, when I cut that, you can now see just that tiny little piece that's holding it together. So bear that in mind when you come to do this, that you will end up with a tiny little bit holding your kit together. So you might just want to be a bit careful. But we're pretty much coming to the end of this episode, so I'm going to lay out what's there. We'll leave it there. And thanks for tuning and watching episode 2.